Well, Bitcoin, I mean, if I look at everything since October 10th, because that was the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto, like bigger than
Like a
FTO.
margin call almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like almost a miniature rupture, like a
Yeah.
tsunami. We're only a couple weeks from that, so I think the market is consolidating. But if I look at fundamentals, like Ethereum, stablecoin volumes have been exploding, application revenues at all-time highs. So right now, fundamentals are leading price in crypto. So I think eventually we consolidate and then we rally into year end.
Two. We were 150.
Yeah, I think we could still get to 150, 200 for Bitcoin, and then
You're
something
right.
like 7,000 for Ethereum.
Bitcoin Zella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zella today and enjoy the new edge.
Tom Lee says the S&P 500 could soar to 7,500 by year end. We'll explore why he's so confident. Let's dive in.
Yeah, that's right. I think the market has a lot of walls of worry because we've got the shutdown, we've got China, we got the Fed speak, but the market's been up 6 months in a row now. Only 6 times since 1928 that's happened. So if you look at November, we're up 5 or 6 times. And in 1942, it was flat. So basically, November should be really strong. I think at least 200 points on the S&P. So maybe,
For November.
yeah, maybe even 250. So maybe we get to 71. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like AAII, the average sentiment this year is still minus 11.5, like net solidly bearish. That's only happened 3 other times in 35 years, all in the middle of bear markets. So investors feel like it's a bear market, but we're up 17%, which kind of tells me I think there's a big performance chase into year end. Over 80% of fund managers are missing their benchmark this year. That's right, because we have good Fed futures to look at what's implied for inflation. The Fed looks at the bond market. The bond market figures things out before the data comes out. I do think the inflation is probably falling a lot faster than everyone expects. I mean, you can look at trueflation and we're down to sub 2% inflation,
So
excluding housing.
shelter. Yeah.
Yeah, and shelter is
It's
finally
underestimated.
cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that CPI number was, it was just barely cooler than expected, wasn't it?
Yes, but the shelter piece is now at 0.16 month over month. That's at 2% year over year. That level would bring core inflation down sharply. And over 54% of the CPI components are now deflating. It's the highest percentage since COVID started. I mean, I think there is something the market's trying to figure out, which is AI is consuming jobs, but that's turning it into profits for corporate. So like profits are expanding. And then we have profit margins have actually been going up in the middle of tariffs. So how are companies able to take 70% of the tariff hit, but margins are going up? So there must be a productivity boom somewhere. And then we have, like you said, $7 trillion of cash on the sidelines, but we have high rates. And so the Fed, I kind of think, is trying to not overheat the economy. But we know that you just point out, like, housing's in big trouble. So I would say it makes sense if inflation's in a good place and jobs aren't really strengthening for cuts to happen. And that would be really dovish. So I think that sort of comes together before the end of the year.
The crypto market took a hard hit as Bitcoin plunged below $104,000, triggering over $1.3 billion in liquidations across major exchanges. Bitcoin, now trading around $103,973, has fallen 17% from its all-time high of $126,000, marking one of the sharpest corrections since October. The sell-off intensified during the European trading session as leveraged traders faced a wave of forced liquidations, wiping out billions in long positions within hours. Data from CoinGlass showed that more than $1.21 billion in long trades were liquidated, with Bitcoin accounting for $377 million and Ether following closely with $316.6 million. The largest single liquidation came from HTX, where a massive $47.8 million Bitcoin long position was wiped out. Analysts note that such large liquidation clusters can indicate panic selling, sometimes signaling a short-term market bottom. As the dust settles, traders are now watching the critical $100,000 level, Bitcoin's last major support zone. Many believe reclaiming the $105,000 to $107,000 range is crucial to avoid a deeper correction. Bulls are expected to defend the $100,000 mark fiercely, knowing a break below could signal the start of a new bearish phase.
Yeah, it is pretty typical into month end, right? That's what we are seeing. And I think that some of these numbers are also being distorted because of the government shutdown. So we know that the Treasury reserves are building because there aren't any payments being made. So it is something we're watching. But if I was to say that there's signs of bank stress, I'd also be looking for high yield spreads to be widening. And those are actually staying pretty calm.
So you figure no problem with 7,000 by the end of the year, more likely something even above that in your view? Like what? Like 7,300?
Yeah, I mean, maybe 7,300, 7,500.
7,500.
Yeah, so we still, in December, we would build on those November gains.
See, Santoli's like, no way.
No, I don't say no way. I'm open-minded to how far bull market.
The institutional fund managers should have better performance. But as you know, this is one of the worst years for fund managers in almost 30 years. I think that there is also kind of problems in private markets. So I think private credit is doing terribly. And I think a lot of LPs in alternative funds, whether it's venture or private equity, are pretty disappointed by the returns, like the 5 years into now. But the stock market's done well. So I think that there is bearishness because like private equity hasn't come through and fund managers are doing badly. But you're right. The ones who stuck with public stocks are doing well.
Bitcoin's price is once again under pressure, slipping below $104,000 and sending shockwaves through the market as traders brace for a possible drop under $100,000. The leading cryptocurrency has entered what analysts call a free fall, with investor sentiment turning cautious amid growing fears of a deeper correction. Data from Cointelegraph Markets Pro shows Bitcoin touching lows near $103,700, marking a steady decline since the start of the week. Crypto investor Ted Pillows warned that Bitcoin could soon retest the $100,000 level, calling attention to a potential CME futures gap around $92,000, a zone many traders are now eyeing as the next possible target. Market watchers say the loss of key support levels and rising US dollar strength are creating a tough environment for bulls. At the same time, on-chain data from Glassnode reveals that short-term Bitcoin holders are feeling the pain. Many new buyers are now sitting on losses, pushing a market into capitulation mode. Historically, these moments of fear have marked solid accumulation phases, but for now, all eyes remain on whether Bitcoin can hold above $100,000. If you have been watching so far, thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe to BitcoinZella for daily news, all for free. That's all for today's video. Until next time.